Well, my friends, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to discuss the debate that rages on in the language learning community. Should you speak at the beginning or should you shut up? All right, this debate rages on and on between the linguists and the amateur linguists and all these people, of which I am not really a part of this community at all. I'm just a dumb guy that kicks the ball. Now, there is one thing that I do have going for me. It's that all the languages that I have learned, I need to use. Theory isn't enough. And so today we're going to get into what exactly I think and why I think like that. So those of you that are looking to learn another language have probably run into the people who say you should speak immediately, and those of you that say input, 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 and just keep quiet until you start to speak. Now, which one of them is right? The answer is probably both, all right? Data and research aside, I'm gonna guess there's a whole host of you on this left side who have no problem with the anxiety-ridden situations of saying and speaking and saying things wrong, having people make fun of you and talk about you and whatever, right? And there's also gonna be a whole host of you that don't want to get into that situation at all until you can be almost sure or pretty sure that what you're saying is correct. Now, how do you navigate this, and what is the research generally saying? Well, the reason I mention anxiety is because we more or less know that in a strict anxiety-ridden situation or environment, you're not going to be learning at your best. That we know, all right? It's also the same for performance. Now, it doesn't mean that it's something that you have to get over. Most people here understand what it's like to go through a speaker's block, or writer's block, or performance block, something that has to do with stage fright, all right? And so we're going to get into that a little bit later, but I first want to get you guys to understand that speaking at the beginning, now, without having any true input, trying to make guesses without really building up any form of intuition is probably not in your favor. If you don't know Swahili and you've never heard Swahili, trying to speak Swahili is going to be a little weird, right? Now, if we flip that and we spend all our time trying to listen to information, watch information, absorb everything we can about the language and simply not speak, it's also potentially damaging. Now, it depends on how much time you're actually spending doing this. Like all things in life, balance is key. Water will kill you if you drink too much of it, all right? Exercising too long is going to break you down. There is a happy medium, and that is exactly what I found. I want the people who tend to go this way today to look at language learning from this perspective. And those of you that are so ready to speak, so ready to have conversations, so ready to engage and talk, I want you guys to go and look at the world from this perspective, all right? So starting over here with those people, why you speak and what happens when you start speaking from the beginning. It's very possible, of course, that you might have mistakes. You might have these mistakes ingrained in you. And the reason that you would is if you don't get enough input. You're over here speaking, and you don't have enough input to start to correct those things. And that will happen over time. It's perfectly fine to have your mistakes and to do that. But it's not okay if it goes for an incredibly long period of time as you improve in the language and you're still making basic mistakes, right? They can be corrected, and that's not just by grammar. If you're new to English and you say, dog run store, I understand what you mean to say. Did you say the dog ran to the store? The dog is running to the store? There's all host of things that I know there. And if you say dog go store, I might say the dog went to the store, and you'll say, then you'll repeat this, the dog went to the store. That's another way of you learning grammar through situation, through examples, which is definitely the best way for you to go about this, all right? Learning grammar through strict rules and things like that you can get for sure, but that's something to be done at a later stage once you build up an intuition of understanding grammar and why things are like this. Why is that rule like this? That happens later, all right? And so if you're a person that is loving to speak and trying to speak by using this or going into your lessons without really absorbing the language, if you're one of these people that leans more towards this way, you love to talk, you love to converse, and you really want to be a part of the conversation, you don't want to be left out of the game, I would implore you to please try and get more input. It's because I know very clearly some people don't think that they are learning anything when they go to read, watch, listen, and especially because the amount of input that you have to do is huge, right? To truly get to a higher level, you're going to have to absorb a lot of the language, a lot of the culture, a lot of the ways there, the intonation, pronunciation, all that stuff is going to come along, but you really have to get a whole host of it, all right? And so now to the flip side, those of you that love to read, write, do the apps, do all that stuff, and you feel like I'm learning, and then bam, you get into that conversation. That, okay? Definitely happened to everybody probably even in their native language as well. What's going on here? Well, all right, those are two separate things. Your ability to comprehend and your ability to spit that out, active retrieval of the stuff that you studied, it's separate, all right? And so the way that I've done this, and if you guys are interested in this at all, past the details of what I'm talking about here in this video, definitely check out our course where it structures things out, where you guys can definitely learn so many different tactics across a 30-day period so you understand, and then you won't need me anymore. That's the thing with our course. You will take this course, you will then be able to apply this to any language that you want to learn, regardless of what you are trying to do, all right? And so that's the benefit of this. But just to talk very simply on what I do. Now, here's something that I describe within our course that's really important. It's something that I do and have done and will continue to do because God knows it works, all right? And I don't know exactly why it works, but I can tell you what I'm doing gets you the results. So when you're going to learn this new language, regardless of if you are at the beginner and intermediate, this is the stages that I'm talking about. At the advanced stage, there's some more stuff that we have to do. It's more intense. You clearly have to put in more energy to get way up there. That's another thing entirely. But for those of you in the beginning and intermediate, that's probably the people who are watching this, this is something that you can do. So when you're doing your input, we want to make sure that we are utilizing all of our energy, all right? And that means not tired, not after work, not while you're doing something else, not while you're in your car, not while you're waiting in the grocery line, all this stuff, full energy. Now, I'm not saying you don't utilize that time also for your passive listening, your learning, and continuing to engage with the language. Engage with the language as much as you possibly can. No one is going to say that that's a bad thing for you. What I'm saying is you want more bang for your buck. That's why you're watching this video. So focus, all right? So if you're scrolling, looking around, doing all this different stuff right now, and you're probably not even paying attention, you know what it's like. We all know this, all right? It's no secret here. You set that time, dedicated time, and it's not dedicated where you have to just really feel that you're just so crazy about stuff. No, it just means relax. Do one thing. That's all. You're going to get the most out of this if you do one thing. Now, when you're going to do your input, I'm not going to take too much time to discuss which kinds of input today. You guys can check out some of the other videos that we have that we talk about that, but let's just suffice it to say today that you're going to be watching a video that's at your level. Comprehensible input rules. Those of you that don't know what comprehensible input is, we want to be making sure that we're learning through context. All right? We're not trying to memorize anything. We want to be able to watch something and understand 80, 90% of what is going on. And if we don't understand something, I just want to be able to look at what's happening, see this guy punch the guy and say, I'm punching you, right? And oh, okay, I get it. That's the word for punch, or that's the word for stop, right? So that's how we want to go about our input. You do this input, and the key here is repetition, all right? You're going to watch this stuff for 10 minutes. Get a small clip. That 10 minutes is going to be great, done, okay, cool. You're going to watch it again. And then you're going to watch it again, all right? You want to do something like this between 3 to 5 days. That's the same content. I'm not saying the exact same video. I'm saying the same context, same subjects, same themes. We want to live in that little area, all right? And that's something that we talk about in the videos. Maybe I'll touch on that here at the end, but you want to live in this little space. When you're watching, don't try and memorize each individual word. Don't try and translate things. If this is the second language that you've ever learned, you might be trying to translate and take things from your own language and place them into the other language. Don't do that. We don't want to be translating everything in our head. We just want to know that this is not a book. This is just un livre. C'est un livre. Done, right? And that's it. We don't have to then go un livre. Oh, that's a book in this, and you read books and then you go through. No, all right? And so that's what you're trying to do, which is why you need to be relaxed and just let it happen. When you don't know something, let your brain figure it out. Leave it. That's a big issue for most beginner learners. They're not okay with uncertainty, all right? So do that, focus on that. When you're done, you're gonna be trying to actively recall this, trying to resume, trying to say what it is. You can write it if you want, you can speak it, that's fine, all right? Now, when you've done this, and that means, let's say an hour, 60 to 90 minutes, you guys know very well and clear if you can do more, if you can do less, but let's say that's a good general rule. We can't make it up. We don't know every single one of you, can't customize this, all right? But that's a good general rule of uninterrupted input for one day. That's it. All right, we're going to pretend everybody's busy. Now, later in the day, I want you to have uninterrupted focus, input on something that is above your level. Now, that means I'm not talking about the news. I'm not talking about a UN speech. I'm not talking about astronauts discussing when they're next going to the moon. None of that, all right? I'm just saying a Netflix show, a series, something you enjoy, but it's in your target language, all right? Now, the key here is this is not going to be the same as the input that you had here. this little series, this specific one that you were watching, etc. It's not going to be like that at all. But what it's going to do is stretch you, all right? This you're not trying to. It's not your core key, all right? If you can only watch 30 minutes of a series, then just go watch that, all right? It's fine. You can check out the interview that I did in Spanish with Luis Talagrand. We did one in Spanish and English, actually, as well. Obviously, we're going to do one in French, where we're discussing everything that he did. And one of the things that he did outside of the study was watch something that's pulling you forward, all right? Because what happens is on this input, and by the way, I forgot to mention this, slow conversations are going to be huge, especially if you're a beginner. It sucks. I know you want everything to move fast, and the world has trained us to move as fast as possible. But if you can watch slow German, slow Chinese, slow Arabic, whatever it is, and you can understand what's being said, that's going to be helping your pronunciation, your intonation. It's going to really help you understand the formula, right, for the language, how things are really going on. So make sure to include that in your input. But what happens here is as you get more of this in, 7 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're going to notice that you're going to start to float up. And that series or the movie or whatever it is that you're watching later in the day in your language, it's going to start to get closer. You're going to start to, your level was down here, it's going to get closer, and you're going to start to see, I'm understanding a bit more of what's going on. I've caught more words, I've caught more stuff. This is a huge part of the input process that kind of gets forgotten. You cannot just stay in your area without being pulled forward. That thing up there will pull you forward, and this thing will make sure that you're grounded. Right? So that's the way to do it. Now, the active recall side, and those of you that are going to need to speak because you love living in this area where you just listen, 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 and listen. All right, you're getting that. Maybe you're getting this and you're just afraid to speak. You have to. Of course, you can do this alone, but if you don't, by now know a tutor is going to be your best friend. And what a tutor is not there to teach you the language. They are there to test you. This is the big difference between artificial immersion and the method that we have and utilize. And I would say what everybody else is trying to do without this knowledge. They go to the tutor, they hope for them to learn, they want to learn some grammar rules, they're explaining things and all this stuff. Absolutely not. Your time is precious. You have an hour. You need to be testing this, the stuff that you did when that input and I was reading and I'm doing all this stuff and now I want to be able to actively recall that and have this conversation and make those mistakes and get that stuff out of you. Because if you're not practicing that, it's just not going to come through. Right? It just will never come through. And there is a happy medium and happy balance here. So you have to know yourself. And when you take our courses and you take our stuff, we don't leave you and say, oh, here's the plan and that's it. This is what it is for everybody. And no, you have to work. You have to give us something, which means you have to know yourself. Who knows you better than you? And if you don't know yourself, you better learn yourself because there's a best way for you to learn. There's a best way for you to study. There's a best way for you to get to this goal. And we can't know it. We need your help in that, right? And so those of you, you know when it's probably time for you to start speaking, all right? I would say there's more people over here that are in this area that it's probably time for them to start speaking and at least making those mistakes and getting that out. Writing essays, which I've talked about, and I'm going to talk about that a bunch more a little bit later this week, but that's huge, all right? So this video has gone on probably way too long, as always, and like I said a million times, I just want to go back outside. It's hot. Stop doing Duolingo. It's a shitty app, and love you guys. Peace out.